All right, ladies and gentlemen, week 8, it's in the books. Giants, Steelers, Monday Night Football has concluded. The Giants come up short of the comeback, of course, due to a Daniel Jones turnover. What else is new? Steelers, terrible towels are waving. Defense shows up in the most critical times. 2 turnovers on the final 2 drives, and they moved to 6-2. Very impressive so far what they've done through 8 games. Giants fall to 2-6. Did not expect really anything different, even though they have pieces in place. They've had some injuries go on, and then they just have added quarterback to the shopping list, which is nothing new. We knew that going into last year. So now it's highlighted, bold, italic, exclamation points. No more question marks. You got to get one. So we're going to dive into the game. But first, like and subscribe. Comment down below. Tell me what you thought of this game. And then, tell me what you thought of week 8 as well. Want to hear what you've been thinking's going on throughout the season. And we're pretty much at the halfway point now. So tell me what you think. Time's flying, man. Almost through October here. So we're starting to really see what these teams are made of, and the boys are starting to separate themselves from the men, or the men from the boys, and a couple teams, girls. No offense, of course. But yeah, so do all that, and let's jump on in. Like I said, Steelers win 26-18, and you got to give credit where credit is due. And of course, Mike Tomlin had the cojones to start Russell Wilson last week and stick with him through the first quarter and a half as he was getting booed because Russell Wilson was stinking up the field. And he led them to a 37-15 victory against the lowly Jets, which at that time, a lot of energy on that team. Well, this week comes out, Russell Wilson, you put up 26 on a pretty solid Giants defense. And if it wasn't for untimely penalties in the red zone, you're looking at probably a 30, maybe even a 40 burger. That's a little much to ask, but I mean, you're looking at least another 8 points because you kicked 2 field goals. And if you had touchdowns, that's 4 points each possession. So you're looking at 34 points. And so that's back-to-back weeks with 30-plus points. If you didn't have those turnovers, the ball has been moved well. Najee Harris looks like he's slipped into the fountain of youth. George Pickens doing his thing. And I think the thing that really helps this offense, obviously, is Russell Wilson's ability to throw the deep ball. And we saw a couple passes tonight, even if they're not completed. It just makes the Giants or whatever team they're playing have to step back in coverage. The linebackers maybe have to play a yard or 2 back. And the safeties, a yard or 2 back. The corners, a little bit off. So it opens up the underneath. It opens up that run game. And we've seen Najee Harris just add a level of physicality that we haven't seen since his rookie year. And Jaylen Warren, we forgot about him. But last year, there was controversy if he should be the number 1 running back in that room. So he made some plays tonight. Van Jefferson stepped up a little bit. You got Calvin Austin. And then, of course, Pat Freiermuth. Really, a lot of pieces to like on that Steelers O, with Russell Wilson playing point guard, kind of reminiscent of Chris Paul. He's not going to hit the 3 from the logo, but he's going to dish it out to the guys who need to. It's not going to be a flashy behind the back, off the elbow, Jason Williams style, but it's going to be a nice pick and roll, bounce pass in rhythm, easy layup. And that's what he's been doing. And that's what you need. Because I'll tell you one thing, and if we're never certain every single year of what's going to take place in the new NFL season, we can be for sure that the Steelers are going to have a kick-ass defense. Because they got one this year, and this offense is playing complementary football, giving them time to rest on the bench, not turning it over, and just letting them go out there and do their thing. And for most of the game, the Giants hadn't done shit. They held them to 3 field goals, 9 points. You feel good about that. Then they break off a 45-yard touchdown run, which, we got to talk about Tyrone Tracy, and we will later. Hell of a game. Rookie running back for the Giants. But this defense the Giants force a turnover, and, Russell Wilson fumbles the ball, so I guess they did turn it over tonight very untimely. And they have the ball down 8 in position to tie the game. And guess what Daniel Jones does? And I shouldn't even say Daniel Jones. TJ Watt, the game record that he is, strip sack, forced fumble, recovery, flip the game on its head pretty much. Steelers go down, get a field goal. So I guess it was 29-18. I'm all discombobulated. I just watched the Yankees get shut out, or excuse me, I guess they didn't get shut out because they got a home run with 2 outs left. So kind of irritated about the World Series, was hoping it would be good. Anyways, we're back on football now. So, the Steelers defense, like I was saying, they make 2 big turnovers on the last 2 series. They get the strip sack, and then the following drive, they pick the ball off. And that's what the Steelers have been doing all season long, and really my whole life. It's nothing new. They always have a feared pass rusher, whether it's Joey Porter, whether it is James Harrison, and now it's TJ Watt. Not to mention you got Highsmith on the other side that don't want to sell him short because the checks he's cashing, he's a damn good pass rusher. So, Steelers 6-2. A year where the Ravens, as dominant as they look at times, just dropped one to the Browns with Jameis Winston as their quarterback a week after trading Amari Cooper. The Bengals can't figure out which shoe to put on, whether, they're putting their left foot into their right foot shoe, and they're tripping over themselves because their shoelaces are tied together. They're all over the place. They got egg on their face. And then obviously the Browns, we're not really taking them serious, but listen, still a division game when you play them, so you got to take it seriously. This is the Steelers' year, and they're off to an incredible start, and they needed it because the final 10 games of their season, they play the Ravens twice, the Browns twice, the Bengals twice. I think they have the Eagles, like the Chiefs. They have a gnarly schedule the final 10 games of the year. That 6-2 has put them in a great spot because now all you got to do is go 5-5. And this team is more than capable of playing 500 ball for the rest of the year. That puts you at 11, or I guess puts you at a winning record. You get 11 wins, 11-6. Even if it was reversed, 10-7, you're in the playoffs. How far are you going to go in the playoffs? To be determined. But you know what plays in the winter? A fucking defense that will sack the quarterback, will stop the run, and will cause turnovers. That ball gets slick in the winter, and these guys, man, they love punching it out. And then this running game is really coming along. So, and let's not act like Russell Wilson is some scrub. He played up in Seattle, a lot of cold weather games, can deal with the elements. So, really, this team is looking a little bit more daunting than I think we thought after the first 3 games when they were 3-0. We said, well, let's see. This might be a fraudulent 3-0. They haven't scored over 15 points. Their defense has been great, but can you sustain it? And the defense hasn't been as incredible as those first 3 games where I think they held opponents under 10 points each game. But they have been more than serviceable. If you had to pick one defense in the league, you're probably picking the Steelers. And now the offense, like I said, it's coming along. So, Steelers, 6-2, you feel good. And if anything has been determined this year, it's that the Steelers cannot get rid of Mike Tomlin anytime soon. He will get hired in a half a second by, I would say, 25 NFL teams. There's not a lot of teams that would not take him. And you guys have the culture, you have the fan base, and your team's identity fits perfectly into the Pittsburgh Steelers' just history. And that's when you guys play your best. How many times have we seen the Steelers? Oh, Big Ben, Antonio Brown, Le'Veon Bell. Incredibly fun to watch. But what do those teams do in the playoffs? Not much. What about the teams with Joey Porter, Troy Polamalu, James Ferrier, James Harrison? Some of these teams that just had the nastiest defenses, those are the teams that won the Super Bowl. Hines Ward, I mean, he's on offense, but should have been on defense. So you have that mentality right now. You just got to keep plugging away and keep stacking these wins. Win the close games like tonight. Even though you were in the driver's seat for almost all of it, you still got to hang on. We saw the Jets yesterday. What did they not do? They didn't hang on, and they were in the driver's seat, I would say, for most of the game. Dolphins as well. Driver's seat most of the game. Couldn't hang on. Great teams just find a way to win, i.e. the Chiefs. So, good win for the Steelers. On to the Giants. We're going to touch on a couple other positions before we hit the obvious one. And, they're down their left tackle, Andrew Thomas. You're not going to do much when the best player on your offense, is out, especially at the left tackle position. I mean, he's been a stud over the past couple years. Your high round draft pick a few years back. And it showed tonight. Highsmith and Watt were teeing off on both your tackles, but especially your left tackle spot. And with a quarterback like Daniel Jones that, he's pretty mobile, but gets rattled really easy when there's interior pressure, not a recipe to win whatsoever. But you got to give credit to Tyrone Tracy, Darius Slayton. Theo Johnson made a great catch, your rookie tight end out of Penn State. Of course, Malik Neighbors, had a couple drops that were uncharacteristic, but listen, you'll take him with a couple drops tonight over probably 95% of the receivers in the NFL. Guys are going to have drops. I mean, you're getting 150 targets. You can't expect guy not to make a drop here or there. Not everybody's Larry Fitzgerald, which, fun stat, if you were to watch all of Larry Fitzgerald's targets throughout his career, you would be more likely to see him make a tackle on an interception than you would see him drop a pass. That's crazy. He had more tackles than drop passes. That's insane. So, nice little fun fact for you there. And defensively, you got good pressure. Aziz Ojulari had a nice sack. Obviously, you got some pieces on that D-line. Dexter Lawrence was a game wrecker. And, your first 5 picks this year, you had Malik Neighbors, then Tyler Nubin, Andrew Phillips, Tyrone Tracy, and Theo Johnson, who I just mentioned. Those guys seem like they're going to be pretty good players in the NFL. So you've laid the framework. And Brian Daboll, they got to give him another year. Because I think he is definitely not the problem. He came in first year, brought them to the playoffs, won a playoff game. Next 2 years, you're rolling out Tommy DeVito. Daniel Jones has just regressed, and you didn't have anybody on offense last year. This year you got Malik Neighbors, Wan'Dale Robinson has made a step, but last year it was pitiful. He's a good coach, and he seems, he took care of himself a little bit in the offseason. Seems like he's calmed down a little bit from reports around the league, talking about in meetings and how he is to his coaches. So he's taking a step back a little bit. You got to hang on to him. You got to give him at least another year at quarterback with a new quarterback, because that's what you got to do in the offseason. You got to draft a guy. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. Shedeur Sanders or Cam Ward. Personally, I think Cam Ward with Malik Neighbors would just be an electrifying combo. I mean, rocket arm, great playmaker, and just seems like they would have this instant connection that would be so fun to watch. And when you plug him into the system, it's almost like Caleb Williams this year. It's like, oh, you got Malik Neighbors. Oh, you got a young tight end who looks like he's going to be decent. You got a pretty good offensive line once Andrew Thomas comes back. Tyrone Tracy, maybe you go out, get a running back in the second round like an Ollie Gordon Jr. or, Quishon Junkins or Trayvon Henderson from Ohio State. There's running backs in this draft that you can get in second and third round that are pretty damn good. Ashton Genty, if he's there, he'll probably go in first round, but you get what I'm saying. And then the defense can play. You guys are banged up right now, but There's not many problems on that side of the ball. So good framework for a young rookie QB, good coach, good weapons. I think you got to give Brian Daboll another year and go out and get a Shedeur Sanders or a Cam Ward. It has to happen. Because if you don't, this is what's going to be happening every year. You're going to be 2-6 through 8 games. And your quarterback, when you need him to make a play, he gets rattled and he throws a pick. Or he forgets that he's playing football against the Pittsburgh Steelers and his internal timer shuts off and he gets strip sacked by TJ Watt. Can't have it. You're not going to, this is not sustainable in the NFL. You know, we see teams, Brock Purdy, Dak Prescott last year, Tua Tagovailoa. These quarterbacks aren't top 7 quarterbacks in the league, but they got a good framework around them and they execute the playbook. And they're situationally aware and they make the right plays when they need to. So you don't need a Patrick Mahomes. It does help, and that's obviously your goal. But if you have a good enough team around your guy, you're going to win games. I mean, look at the Steelers. Literally, the team that you're playing tonight is exactly that. Really great defense with solid offensive pieces. George Pickens, decent offensive line that they've invested in. A nice 2-headed tandem at running back. And then a really nice tight end. And the guy's just dishing it out, making smart plays. So, Giants fans, probably going to be a long year for you. Brian Daboll's probably going to lose some hair. And you guys are going to lose interest. But the best thing you could do is watch Colorado. Watch Miami. Hell, I'd even watch Alabama. Jalen Milroe. Maybe he starts to turn it on again. So I would start investing in college football right now, kind of looking at the quarterback prospects and seeing who you guys could potentially take. And because that's what you're going to have to look for, is to the future, because this team isn't going anywhere this year. Outside of that, as I was mentioning, New York fans, Yankees just lost. They're down 3-0. They did hit a 2-run homer in the bottom of the 9th with 2 outs. Verdugo hit a 2-run shot to right field with 2 strikes on him. Nice hit. Gave him a little bit of momentum, but then Gleyber Torres decides, I'm going to let him throw 2 strikes right down the middle before I decide to swing the bat. Grounds out. Down 3-0. Only one team has ever come back from down 3-0. That was the Red Sox against the Yankees in 2004 to break the curse. The Yankees have done it 8 times this year. So maybe they could do it a 9th. I'll tell you what, I'm no expert, but I've watched a lot of baseball, played a lot of baseball, watched a lot of football, played a lot of football. I know sports pretty well. The Dodgers are serving up a shit ton of first pitch strikes. Get aggressive. What do you have to lose? Do you want to go out with your tail tucked between your legs, or you want to go out with that thing swinging in the wind? I can tell you which one I would. And it ain't the first. So, tune into that game tomorrow, guys. Got to wait till Thursday night. Jets take on the Texans. Jets. Listen, Giants fans, I got to say, even though you're 2-6, you could be the Jets 2-6, where you thought you were going to win the Super Bowl this year. And you just lost to one of the worst teams in football in the last second. So things could be worse. Jets fans, my heart breaks for you. Aaron Rodgers and Woody Johnson and Joe Douglas, my heart doesn't break for you. I mean, they've been running a snake oil salesman business for the past couple years, and everybody's starting to find it out. And it's enjoyable to watch. Jets might be time to hop on a different team's bandwagon. Maybe, hell, move a few hours south. Watch the Washington Commanders take place. They're 6-2. Basically, same record, you just switch the numbers, so close proximity, young, exciting team. They care about football. So, guys, tune in to that game Thursday. Watch the World Series tomorrow. Hope you enjoyed the video. Like and subscribe, and peace out.